Hey everyone, you're listening to the Breezy Moms Podcast, a weekly show that chronicles the adventures of motherhood. I'm Candace. Now let's start the show. Hey guys, I'm so excited.
Hey.
I'm so excited to be here. How
You're
are you?
always excited, and I love it. I
Well,
love
that's
the
the whole
fact that you're so
thing.
excited.
That's the thing, right? You
Yeah.
just got to stay excited. Again, as usual, every single week I am on the floor until the minute I walk out to come here. And I think that part of it is because on Thursday I have a lighter load. I have two kids who aren't coming on Thursdays. Whatever. I have less kids in my program, and so it's just a little bit more relaxed. And then at around 4 o'clock, I remember that we have to record, and then I'm like, oh wait, do I have a plan? Oh yes, I have a plan. I think I have a plan. Well, I hope I have a plan.
Well, I can tell you one thing. She planned on coming in with a nice little floral shirt, very nice blouse, and
I
she's
let
got
my
some
hair
lipstick
out.
on. She did her makeup. She got all pretty.
I mean,
James, I just don't know.
But you have to, because it's kind of like where you have to smile when you're on the phone. Have you heard that tip? Like if you're on a phone interview, you want to make sure you're smiling even though they can't see you. People can hear the smile.
Yeah.
So I try to freshen up, or else I'm going to come here with puke, baby spit up on me. You smell it, I smell it. It doesn't feel so good.
After a couple of rosés, by the way, I don't smell anything.
Courtesy of Bay, my boo James, we're drinking rosé tonight, which is pretty nice.
It's delicious.
I know, it's nice. I feel good.
But I'll tell you a story. So one time, you know that we do a gay podcast, and so we have an array of guests that usually join us on our show, on Gay Talk 2.0. And so one time we had a drag queen on, and so she says, well, you know, when I get to the house, I'll throw on my face and my wig, and I'm like, it's radio, nobody's gonna see you. And she's like, oh no, but you don't understand, I want to take pictures afterwards with you guys and stuff. So she brought in her wig, her makeup, and everything, and she got all dolled up, heels and all. I was like, girl, no one's gonna see you. It's radio.
No, but it matters. Radio. It really matters.
But then, so throughout the whole broadcast, we were just snatching her wig and putting it on and trying.
She was here in studio.
She was in studio at the old studio, and now it's New Haven. And I thought it was hysterical, so you just reminded me about that, because we kept saying, it's like, nobody's going to see you. You don't need to be in full face. But she's like, I want to take pictures.
See, you don't know what it's like to be a woman. You have to, you have to put your game face on. And that is different for everybody. For her, it's her wig, right? For me, it's letting my hair out, or else I feel tight. You know, I want to be loose and breezy.
It wasn't just the wig. I mean, you got to understand, she brought her makeup kit, and it was just on the table, and she was pounding her face like it was what do you call it? Bondo?
I don't know anything about makeup, but shout out to Carolyn, who gave me this really cool lipstick that apparently doesn't wipe off. And my only request to her was I wanted it to look like my lips but better. That was my request, because I needed something that was everyday. I don't need...
But it looks natural. Are you wearing it?
My lips, but better.
Yeah, your lips are better.
That was the whole request.
Yeah.
So that's what I put on, because, again, it's just a couple little things that you do. Let your hair out, put on a little music. A little lipstick, flip your hair. You know, I was in your bathroom just now flipping my hair, right? It's it gets the blood flowing to your brain. You just kind of it's a new moment. I'm going to forget how perhaps difficult the rest of the day was.
Go ahead,
and I'm just going to
I whip my hair
back and forth. Yep. And you just slide into the groove. And now I'm here, fresh to death.
Yeah, she looks amazing, though. She always does, though.
Thanks. You know, I do what I can.
She's a pretty doll. We love her.
So anyway, I'm super excited tonight, because later we have a special guest. All my guests are special. But we have my friend who's coming on to talk about free-range parenting. Do you know about free-range?
Free-range parenting. No, the only thing I know that's free-range is usually chickens and stuff that I eat, but no, I don't know about
so it's a thing, and it's funny because I'm from New York, and so all of New York is free-range everything, right? They're kids on the train, on public transportation at 8.5 years old, right? By themselves. And don't ask them no questions, because I don't know you. Becca, I don't talk to strangers.
Exactly.
I'm supposed to get off here, catch the 4, go upstairs 2 stops, get off at the Grand Concourse, and go to school, right?
You can't do that shit in the suburbs.
You can't do it at all. But it's funny because free range is a movement, and it's a thing now. And so I'm really excited to talk about talk with her about it because I know about it as life, right? You got to go to school. Who's going to take you to school? Figure out how to go to school. Your parents take you one time, and then you just got to get it. You better remember.
Hello.
I count the stops.
I think, now that I think of it, I think my mother was a little bit on the free range side because, when I was little, I would walk to school.
You're from
myself.
New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lived in Yonkers.
Yeah. And Yonkers is kind of suburban. I mean, it's ratchet, but it's still suburban.
Very ratchet.
Compared to New York City.
So anyway, so
that's what we're going to talk about later.
We got it right. So what's your guest name?
My guest name is Jessica.
Jessica. Okay. So I got to remember that so that when she comes on air.
Don't forget.
I don't want to make a fool out of myself. So anyway, so Candace, I have a question for you.
I'm listening.
How are your boys?
The boys are good. The boys are always good. And this week, it's been fun to watch them. I had to upgrade Emery's sleeping situation at nap time because he started climbing out of the crib. And I have it on video because he did it right in front of me like I didn't matter, I didn't exist, I don't care, I'm getting out of this crib.
Did you post that?
Not yet.
No, you're a mess.
But I think I will after the show. But literally, I have a full-on video, and it's not like a bear cam, it's not hidden video. I was legit sitting there, and he was screaming, he wanted to get out, and then he was like, dude, I said I'm getting out. And he started to get out, he got halfway over the crib, and he forgot Elmo. Are we recording?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we are.
So he forgot Elmo, and he flips back into the crib, grabs Elmo, and then starts again. Meanwhile, I'm sitting right there in the room, and he's just like, I don't care.
So
I'm getting
literally,
out.
He's just like, I'm Spider-Man.
He
am like Iron Man. I'm
out.
all of these.
He climbed out on the side that wasn't buffered by Lincoln's bed because their beds are like head to head.
Yeah.
The crib is head to Lincoln's bed. And so he could have climbed out on Lincoln's side, dropped on Lincoln's bed, and gotten out. No, he climbed on the other side.
Okay, so someone
fucking repelled.
Someone who constantly thinks that everything ends in death would think that your child would follow your lead and go off the side of the bed where it's safe.
Not the second one.
No.
Not the second one. The first one never climbed out of the crib. Never, ever, ever. He would scream or he was basically sleeping next to somebody anyway, but he never climbed out of the crib. This kid...
It's going to be Spider-Man on your walls.
Emery is not playing around. I said I'm getting out. So he got out of the crib I thought it was just a nap time situation. He got out of the crib at 2:30 this morning. I heard him crying and I was like, okay, bet we'll let him cry we'll let him cry it out and hopefully he'll lay back down and go to sleep. Nope. 2 seconds later, he was like tapping on the side of my bed.
Like, Ma, I'm here.
Because our room's, the nursery adjoins to the master bedroom and I keep the door open so that I can hear him. And so he climbed right out, walked in the pitch black because we don't have any night lights going. And I was like, James, we have to do something or else this kid's going to kill himself.
But you'd be surprised, though, when you open your eyes and it's dark.
You adjust.
Yeah.
It's true.
You waking up, you were like, oh, what's going on?
It's
like, why are you in front of me?
In front of me, touching me, what is going on? Meanwhile, Lincoln was also next to me. So I got out of the bed just like a bat out of hell. I was like, James, you have to come get one of them. I don't care which one, but you got to get one of them. What is going on?
Oh, the beauty of just having children that that are young and
who love
up.
You, right? And we'll talk. It'll be interesting because Jessica also knows a lot about no, that's not what it's called. It's called attachment parenting, which is another cool thing separate from free range, which it's actually kind of the opposite of free range. But like having them sort of like next to you, co-sleeping and sort of working it out together really closely from infancy. She also knows a lot about. So anyway, we co-slept for a while and now I'm like, I'm done. But I guess it's kind of hard for them to shut it off.
He's not done.
Yeah, they can't shut it off the way we can.
I will be Spider-Man. I will crawl up and down this crib, whatever it takes to get next to my mommy.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though.
So that's Emery. And then Lincoln is great as always, is wonderful. But he's having a hard time with like a little bit of rage jealousy because Emery's the baby. And also he's ginormous. So I looked at him today. I took a picture of him and I was like, you look like a 7-year-old. You're bigger than the 6-year-old boy in our program. Like he's humongous. So we probably treat him the way other people treat him, like he's older and he's not, he doesn't need that sort of babying. And when he sees when he sees James like picking up, like he'll wait at the top of the stairs now for James to carry Emery down, and he's like, "Okay, Dad, come and get me." Like if you're gonna be carrying people, you don't carry everybody.
Carry me,
right? Like carry me too. Meanwhile, we're like, you weigh 50 pounds, we can't carry you.
No, but I mean, I look at Lincoln and I'm like, this child is literally ready for college.
Yeah,
I mean,
a big kid.
that's the perception that you get when you first meet him.
Yeah.
Because he is a very, very
he's tall
person for his age, and he's 4, right?
I know, but then he starts talking, you're like, oh, you're a baby.
Yeah. No, but I mean,
still, on first glance, he looks like he should be able to do more. And physically, he can do a lot, right? He can climb we have this thing, it's called an octagon, and it's a really cool climber situation. And he can climb all the way to the top, and the 6-year-old has a hard time doing that. And I actually had a moment with a friend of mine who was on the show a couple weeks ago, my friend Tina.
Mm-hmm. Tina.
Yeah, I know, love Tina. Her daughter is the same age as Lincoln. He's March and she's September. And so I asked her the other night, I was like, hey, school's starting soon. Is Emma reading? Like, is she reading yet? Because I'm feeling some way like we should be further ahead than we are. And she just reminded me, one, that everybody's on their own developmental path. And yes, she's reading a little bit, but girls and boys are so different at every stage that I just can't get him interested. Like, he wants to tinker, he wants to build, he wants to climb, he wants to do all the like gross motor things. He's not interested in sitting and writing letters.
Well,
like,
maybe
he just doesn't.
Maybe he tends to learn in a different
way.
Maybe he's more visual rather than.
No, I think he's more physical.
He's
physical.
He could be physical, but a lot of people don't understand that when you're using your motor skills, you're also looking at what you're doing, and you're assimilating information and figuring out whether or not that works. That's why I say building blocks are amazing.
I know.
So he may not be brainy, but he may be physical, and he's registering what he's doing and learning that way.
Yeah, I forget. It's called kinesthetic learning, where you have to like do the thing in order to learn it. So I think he's definitely more there. But what she said to me is she's reading a few things and a few like small words, like 3-letter words or 1-syllable words, I think is what she said. But she was like, but she can't ride a bike. And she can't climb the way that Lincoln can climb. So it was just this moment of forget like the details of what the thing is. It was just this like sister mom moment that I love, that I have with my friends, and that my village is so great. That was just like, hey, relax. You're tired at the end of the day because you're working hard. Look at the big picture.
Have you considered something like that phone game, Word with Friends? What do they call the board game?
Scrabble?
Like maybe having, because then
we have kids Scrabble.
Yeah, because it's physical and he can see it and he can touch it, and just have him like, do a contest. How many words can you come up with in 20 minutes?
Well, yeah, but that's too far because he can't read yet. He doesn't know any words.
But maybe he can try. And again, the physical
it's true.
And the visual might
but we have
to start getting interested in reading.
It's interesting when you start watching your own kid and you start seeing some of your own like shit in your kid. He like has him and Emery. They have like I'm trying to figure out how to work through this with them, because they are just like, oh, I can't do it the first time. Fuck it. Just throw the shit up in the air and they walk away and like, I'm gonna do something else. Gotcha. And I feel like sometimes I have that same. Like I'm typically good at most of the things I do, and the things that I'm not good at, I don't do, right? Like you just, like who wants to be disappointed that you don't know how to do something? And when they do that, instead of getting mad at them, I try to remember to reflect on the fact that I probably show them that. And the thing I saw with Emery is we were playing this game with like carrying an egg on a spoon, and he kept dropping it, and he was just like, fuck it.
I'm done.
And that in a 2-year-old is just like the spoon went flying, the egg went flying. He was gone into another room.
I'm just hoping it was a hard-boiled egg.
No, it was a plastic egg. It was like a toy egg.
Say, because let me tell you, that's one mess you don't want.
No, I would never. I'm not stupid. I would never. So anyway, the whole point of that is that he's doing really well, and he's excelling in sort of like physical areas. And he's also grown a lot this summer, especially with having this older child in our program. His structures he builds with the blocks and stuff, they're so much more complicated and intricate than they used to be. that I think I'm going to stop worrying as much as I am because he's only 4.
I think
he's
you're good
literally
though.
only 4.
But I think that you're very involved and you're very detailed in the things that you put forward with your children, and especially having a program.
Yeah.
I think you're on the right track, and just don't
But
doubt yourself.
it's crazy because even when you're doing that, right? It's easy to let doubt, self-doubt, and all of that stuff, the mom guilt, and all of that thing.
Well, I mean,
sleep in.
That has a lot to do with comparing too, right?
Yeah.
You compare. It's human nature. We do this all the time. And you're like, oh, well, he's doing that. I should be able to do that. But what if I can't? You know, does it make me a less of a person when I can't do it?
Yeah.
And does it make my child less of a person if they can't, live to the standards of someone else when those standards may not be anything near what they should be aspiring to be in the first place?
It's what works for you.
Yeah.
It's what works for us. We'll eventually get to where we need to be. So
you read, I build.
Right.
Like me, I didn't want to do my lawn today, so I literally ran down the street and pulled over the lawn guy, and I'm like, listen, I don't know who you are, but
I see you have machinery.
You have machinery. You can come do my lawn. I'll give you $40. I just have no ambition whatsoever to take care of that today. Can you do that? He's like, no, I don't have any time. I'm like, oh. So of course, here I am thinking, oh, tomorrow I'm just going to have to come and just suck it up and just do the lawn. And so I came down here and I was with our other co-producer, Nick, who produced one of your episodes. And we were sitting here and the doorbell rings and the guy's like, I'll do it. And I'm like,
that's great.
Thank you. I was like, here's my
whatever you need.
My earnings. You can have them,
It's worth it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Susanna, who cleans our house every other week. And I feel like James, after this is probably the 6th time she's done it, I think he's finally on board with recognizing the value of having someone else come and clean the house. It's just I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
What's her name?
Susanna.
I think Susanna's going to get a phone call from
She's
me
amazing.
This is just getting out of control.
She's amazing. So sometimes you just have to spend the money, and I tell him sometimes I try to tell him I started working so I could have these things. That's why we all work, right? So you can have the things that you want to have. And I want somebody to clean the house because I'm not cleaning the shit. So I could see if I wasn't working, I wasn't making any money, and I was trying to stretch our budget to do this. But now I'm making some money, and this is what the money's going to go for.
We're getting it done.
We're getting it done. So
that's awesome.
Sometimes you just gotta do it. All right. So I think. But James is good.
James
is good. I don't want to leave out. I don't want to leave him out because he's amazing.
He's one of the boys.
Always, he's one of the boys, and he always, even when I want to throw a softball at him,
don't do it
because I would never hurt him.
Don't do it. Somebody threw a bus at him at work. Yeah, it's just don't do it. I'll tell you about the bus later.
Oh my God,
yeah,
they're the worst.
Don't throw the ball. At him.
They don't want me to come to the office.
You're right. You don't want her to come to the office.
You don't want me to come to the office and just show my whole ass.
All of it.
All of it. So yeah, he's good. And whatever's going on at the office, he does a great job of leaving it there. So
that's awesome.
What continues to be fun and I really appreciate is our little, we don't have a ton of time, even we just don't have a ton of time. And so we have these little moments in the, I call it the changing of the guard, which is when he gets home and I'm about to run out to do something, whether it's come to the show or just get a minute outside. There's still this little tiny moment where we sort of download, and it's nice. It's nice.
It's almost like being in Pandora and you touch the tree and you hook to it, right? Remember? And you're
from the movie Pandora.
Yeah. Well, what was
yeah.
it? It was
Avatar.
Yeah,
Avatar.
Yeah, and they just literally attach it to their tail.
And
you
download some information.
Yeah. Hi, baby.
Yeah, so we do that. I think we had rosé. I don't know. We do it over a quick glass of wine. We do a quick changing of the guard, and then I'm able to run out. So
that's awesome.
It's really nice. So let's move on from here, or else we will go on forever. Yeah. And I want to make sure we have time for Jessica because I'm super excited to talk about this tonight. So let's unmute her. So Jessica has joined us all the way from Chicago.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Hi Jessica, the Windy City.
Yes.
And so she's a dear old friend of mine.
She just called you old.
No.
You have my permission to cut her.
Stop
An
it.
old
An
friend.
old friend.
An old friend.
Whatever. I don't speak English good. I mean, we have been friends for a very long, long time, since freshman year of high school.
Yes.
Yeah?
Summer
before. So since we were like 14 and a half years old, when we didn't know who we were or what we were doing, and we were both transplanted from our cities to Wallingford, Connecticut. What the hell is that? And I have this like really great memory of me, her, and another friend sharing a twin bed at some point, like because we could do because we went to boarding school, and so it's boarding school, so that's the thing. And then on the weekends, you can get permission to sleep in someone else's room.
Right.
And then nobody wants to sleep on the floor, and so we just all slept in the same twin bed.
One up, one down.
One up, one down.
Yes, we did. Yeah, exactly. You alternate.
Wake up in the morning, you got feet in the face.
Yes.
And we had like maybe an inch or two of extra space because it was actually in my room because my bed was in a nook, like in a corner, so it was pulled out a little bit from the wall, and you could kind of like shove an old blanket or something.
Yeah,
it was just like a little
wider,
just a little bit extra, but still ridiculous when you think back on it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm so excited to have her here. She's super smart and has lots of really cool experience with education. She's a preschool teacher now. She just did a really cool dual language master's, and feels like my like numero uno expert on free range parenting. Mm-hmm. And then if we can get a second in on attachment parenting, like she's who I learned the term from.
That's very interesting because, you know, when you think about free range, right, you think about free, right, like in terms of food or animals. Not that I'm comparing animals. You
always make the worst comparisons.
I have two doggies, so, you know, for me, those are my babies.
And still, I only allow it because I like you.
I totally was thinking about writing a book that was like how raising your children is like raising puppies.
Is not it should be like not like.
No, it is. It is like I mean, it's like the potty training is the same.
Validation.
You know, the short words like put that down or stop or you know like
we are ejecting Jessica from the parenting.
Jessica, I will tell you, I have a friend of mine who posted on Facebook. Right, he's a gay man who happens to have a child, and he posted on Facebook and said, please don't ever compare having dogs to having children. And I'm like...
Because it's not the same.
But it is.
On one hand... You know what? On one hand, I would say in some cases it might be the only thing that I will get. Whatever, I don't take it because you can leave them at home all day.
I agree. I mean,
you leave them at home all day.
Yes, I think what I remember when we were like potty training Matthias is that it was similar to potty training a dog in that like there were accidents all over the house.
Right,
and you had to bribe them.
Yeah, we did it in like a no diaper way. So he would just like walk around naked all day long. And so we would just like try to catch him about to go to the bathroom and put the little potty under him, you know? So it was like potty training a dog.
The only thing I will give you is that I will say that having a dog is like having an infant forever. I will, and that is the only thing I will give you because at least children age, right? And eventually you can leave them home by themselves. They become self-sufficient, and the dogs never quite. So it's kind of like a vampire child.
I leave my house and I worry about my dogs 24/7. Like I'm like, oh my God, I'm wondering what they're doing. Are they okay? Did I leave enough water?
And still, you left them at the house by themselves, and you're not going to jail.
You can never do that.
It is not the same. But I see that there are some parallels.
I understand.
There are some parallels. I will say that having a dog is like having a vampire infant.
So
that's what I'll give you. An infant that never grows up.
Here's what I'll say. I'll take any little bit of validation that my dear friend, my new friend Jessica will give me. So thank you. That being said, I think we should move into free range parenting. So why don't you tell us a little bit, is there a clinical term to free range parenting? What's the meaning of it? And then we can move into your personal experience.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So free range parenting really was a term that this woman in New York actually, came up with after she let her, I think it was an 8-year-old child take the subway alone, and she wrote like a little blog post about it, and everyone started like shaming her, like, how dare you, you're the worst mom ever, and so she went on like NBC, Good Morning America. I think her name was like Lenore Skenazy. And so she went, she did the rounds, and so she came up with that term. It was like 10 years ago now, 2008.
Except I'm 35, so she didn't come up with the idea. I'm trying really hard to like to like keep it inside, because like white ladies always come up with some shit that we've already been doing for a long time, but I'm gonna let it slide for this moment because just for this one little tiny moment, because I'm 35 and we've been on the train for a long time. But I remember
no.
Like, I remember what
it's
kids not
have been going on the train alone.
It's not a new idea.
It's not new,
but it's a new term. For something we've all been doing that was promoted by white people, like that.
Absolutely.
Came to the forefront because this white lady was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do what like all these black kids and
she
Latino
wrote a
kids."
book, and then she like sold it and made probably millions.
Yeah. So she used that term free range parenting, which I don't necessarily think is like the best term for this. I mean, I think it was catchy and it caught on because people were like, "Oh, it's like chickens," or whatever animal.
I got hungry as soon as she told me we were going to talk about free range.
Yeah. She made it really catchy, but yeah, I mean, children have been doing this for generations. Like, and
go get the water from the river, go to town, get the food, all over the world. Yes,
all over the world. So children have been doing this all over the world. I remember doing this in Guatemala. They'd be like, "Okay, go get this at the corner store. Like, walk down the street, go to your grandma's house, and like miles away, and just walk there alone. And
don't give any trouble, because Mrs. So and So will see you on the corner, and she will report back."
Right. So it's not a new phenomenon, but I think it. Again, it was just a catchy name. And I think in our culture, in like this American culture of shaming, we're talking about like mom shaming and all of that, and really like you have to maintain control of your children all the time. And I think this is more of something that's coming to fruition now in like our parenting era. You can't deny, like, the last couple years has really turned into this thing about like, you have to be on top of your children. You have to know what they're doing. You have to know where they are at all times, or else you're a terrible person. And you're a terrible parent. Yeah. I don't know what it is. It's a shift. And I'm sure people have written as to why this has shifted. I'm sure there are many articles from very intelligent people who've written as to why it shifted. But I think one of the reasons that one of the people always say is that social media and also media in general is so constant. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so people feel like the world is a much more dangerous place than it actually is. And children now are safer than they've ever been in our history, in this country.
There's no black plague.
Right.
Well,
right.
I agree with her, though. The thing is that we have constant stimulation when it comes to things being put in your face. Something wrong happens, you see it right away. When I was growing up, man, if I did something bad, my mother didn't find out unless either I told her or somebody literally walked their butt to the house and said, "I saw your son here doing this." And if nobody ever told her, she would have never found out. Out of sight, out of mind.
And that's the other thing that's missing too, I think, in our culture is like this village, right? Like where the neighbors are watching you, and all of the people in the neighborhood know that you can ask the child, "Hey, where's your mom? Did your mom say you could do that? I'm gonna have to go talk to her." But that feels like it's gone now.
You get shanked if you do that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So instead of people talking to the kids, like, "Are you okay? Where's your mom?"
Everybody's hiding from them, afraid of them.
They're going straight to the police.
Oh,
like they're calling the police.
They're
just going straight to the authorities instead of having a conversation with the neighbor and like knocking on this person's door and saying, "Hey, your kid's outside by themselves. Is that okay?"
Right.
But nobody talks to each other anymore.
So have you always been doing this, or so you have a son who's 8? Is he 8?
Yeah. He's almost 8, yeah.
He's almost 8. And so I made a mention earlier that you were kind of doing the attachment parenting thing when you started, which is like the whole, far to the left or whichever direction, the whole
they go hand in hand. So like the idea is that you're raising your child, close to you physically when they're babies. So like you're constantly carrying them. You don't let them cry it out. They co-sleep with you until they're ready to move on to their own bed. So all of this stuff where it's like physical proximity, and you're creating this really secure base where the child knows that you're always there and will always be there. for them, and then that gives them the base from which they can move away from you and be independent and be confident in being independent, because they know that you're always going to be there.
And they can always come back.
Moment.
Yeah.
And they can always come back.
That's like the there's a science experiment that they do with a little baby monkey and soft mom,
yes,
like
and a soft, like it's a
soft
metal
mom.
monkey.
It's like a little tiny monkey and a soft little mom, and then they put like a fake monster, and they let the milk come from the soft mom. It's like a wire form that they've put cotton and soft things on, so it's not a real mom monkey at all. This monkey is actually growing up by himself, but he's getting sort of what he thinks he needs from this like soft mom. And then when a problem or a scary thing is presented to him, he's willing to go and check it out, but first he checks with soft mom. And when he gets a little bit scared, he runs back to soft mom and sort of like touches her to make sure that he's fine. And then he's interested in going and like figuring out what's happening.
And then the opposite then
it made sense.
Yeah. And then there's another monkey mom.
Wire. It's like hard soft. Mom. Yeah.
She's like a hard metal mom. And so when the scary thing happens to that little monkey, the little monkey can't handle it. Like he doesn't have a secure base from which to explore this scary thing because the mom is cold and hard and like metal, you know. Yeah, so
literal
that's
metal.
Like a really primitive.
Literally.
Right, literal metal. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
so
son. I'm just as evil as that little disgusting thing, except that I have to feed you every so often.
Yeah, it's so cool the way that science works and the way that biology. I guess it's like science and biology sort of going hand in hand. Because the other thing that's sort of I think is sort of related to that is there's a thing that infants and toddlers do that drives people and parents crazy, which is toss something overboard, toss something over the crib, toss something over the high chair, whatever. They just like throw things and then you have to go and pick it up. And the exercise is not about the tossing, it's about the parent picking it up. It's about you they trust that you're going to go and get them. And every time I throw it, mom or dad or whoever it is going to go and get it. And it creates that association for them that you're always going to be there for them. So it's again like this primitive way of them testing to make sure that then they can
absolutely, and they're not thinking in their brain, you know, I'm going to test mom and see if I can trust her. They just literally, primitively, biologically are just testing to ensure that you're going to be there for them and you're going to support them, and no matter what, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so we were talking about your son who's almost 8, and so it's you and your husband and your son. What does free range parenting look like for you guys?
You know, it's hysterical because although I'm such a proponent of this like independent child, you know, all of that, he really is a very introverted child, and so he doesn't really push those boundaries, which
you're like, I let them there. I like put them there for you. Go see.
Go out.
He's like, no, I'm good.
Like, yeah, no, I know. We'll like go outside and I'll be in the yard and I'm like, you know, you can go to the front and like, you know, skate up and down the block, you know, or
he's like, no, I'm good.
And he's like, no, I know.
But that's the thing. If you told him he couldn't, then he would. Like, that's how crazy kids are.
Maybe I need to do the opposite. You're right.
Yeah.
Or when we go to the grocery store and he's like, you know, I want such and such. And I'm like, okay, go get it. And it's like on the other side of the store or a couple aisles down. And he'll be like, no, that's okay. Like,
I'll wait till we get there.
Really, you know, you can and sometimes I even do like things which like the naughty thing. I'm like, well, you can go get ice cream. Like, go get the ice cream. It's like next aisle over, you know.
You're like testing
just to get him to go, and it doesn't work. So, but little by little, little by little.
Here's the fun thing: is to see if it works out the same way if you decide to have another child, because there's a thing about firstborns.
Yes.
And so
the firstborn are always more rule following
and parent pleasing. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like if you have another child. Because
Right.
Emery, I literally had to buy the backpack with the tether. I try not to call it a
You
leash,
told me that.
but I literally had to buy the tether because Emery cannot be fucking trusted. And he is just, I mean, you turn around and he's gone, ghost. You have no idea what has happened. or he's trying so hard to get away.
Yeah.
You're holding him by the leg and he's clawing to get away. Meanwhile, Lincoln is underneath my dress. So
Right, exactly.
Emery has, and I tell him he needs to like get his life together because Emery has middle child syndrome, but ain't nobody coming after him, so he needs
There's
to just.
nobody else. Yeah.
That is too funny.
Yeah.
So he needs to live in where he's at.
I definitely think it's like a firstborn and then also his personality. But
Yeah.
now I'm like building into like his life these little experiences where he has to like be independent because
Interesting.
I really want him to develop.
What does that look like?
So I have him take out the recycling. So he has to like go outside of the house,
Leave
into
the
the
house.
alley.
Ooh.
Yes, I know. Yeah. So he's been doing that, and it's like, and that's not like go skate up and down the block. It's like a chore, and we, that's just in our house. We all do work, and he knows that we all do work, and so it's part of our philosophy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, he can't push against that. He's like, oh, well, my job is to take out the recycling,
Yeah.
So
we need that in my house. We all do work. I just said to Lincoln, I was like, the floor is not a trash can. Why are there Kit Kats? Like, we try to give you a treat. We give you something nice, and you just, what do you think? I'm not Susanna. We don't even treat Susanna this way. I'm like, Susanna just cleaned the whole house.
Yes.
Why would you throw stuff?
Yes.
What I'm trying to do for him, because I don't want him to grow up as an asshole. I don't know how long we're going to have Susanna, right? But we don't just throw stuff on the ground because Susanna comes to clean up, right?
I have the same like mental issues with that because we also have somebody who comes every other week, and we just started that a couple months ago, and it's been amazing.
I told you, self-care. We talked about that.
Amazing. No, it's amazing. I love her. Our person's name is Patricia. She's amazing. But I also think about that like in terms of just like growing up with somebody who cleans up after you. Like his room is a mess, and then he comes home and it's like magical and clean,
No, but that doesn't mean you throw the Kit Kats on the floor. I like to tell him, what do you think, little elves? Because you know what an elf is. You think an elf just comes out of nowhere and picks the shit up off the floor? No. I work really hard to keep our house clean with the help of Susanna. And no, you can't be throwing shit on the floor all the time.
Yeah. But so I try to free range, but I don't have a free ranging child. Okay. He doesn't want it.
And so, was your husband on board with this? Did he like think this way to begin with? Is it something you had to like get him on board with?
Definitely the attachment parenting. Like that was just something that we both saw eye to eye right away. We're both early childhood educators, and I think we both have that same philosophy in terms of what children are capable of and seeing children as capable. And so the attention parenting piece was super easy. The free range piece, I think I really, we haven't labeled it as free range, but he's definitely on board with like getting our child to like be more independent and talk to people, at the store and say hi to people, the bus driver or the mailman, or, just that kind of stuff, getting him a little bit out of his shell, because he doesn't tend to do that. And he doesn't tend to advocate for his own at school for his like needs. And, so we really want to push him to being a little bit more slightly extra, just a little bit.
The crying baby gets the milk. Yeah, that's so interesting. So I just had Lincoln with me at Target the other day. I was returning something, and so just in a split second, I was like, "Oh, give the lady the bag and say hi. I need to return this because we don't want it anymore."
Yeah.
And so he was looking at me. I was like, "No, just give it to the lady and say hi."
Right.
I think
Lincoln is similar. Lincoln is similar to us. Yes. Yeah.
Right. And Lincoln has it tough because Lincoln is first of a first. Like James and I are both first, and both of our parents are first. My mom's first, his dad is first. So it's like first of first. It's deep. It's deep in our like DNA.
But I think he's an introvert too. Wouldn't you say? Like he has an introverted personality as well.
Yes, and it's funny when that is also coupled with someone who people really like. Because he's introverted but popular. It's
absolutely.
It's a very...
Matthias is totally the same. Matthias is totally the same. Like all the kids are like, Matias. The girls are like, hi, Matias, like smiling at him.
Well, Matias looks like Keanu Reeves, so he's
my
just...
God, I know, Jesus, I know, yeah, and he like doesn't even like look at them. I'm like, they said hi, like at least say hi back, like
We had to do that with Lincoln too. Hey, it's morning. I know we're not morning people, but you got to say something. People are saying good morning. Say hello.
At least wave, for God's sake. Yeah, because the other kids feel so bad when they're like fawning over him, and he's like, whatever, He's like, I know, I'm so cute. Leave me alone,
I love it.
Yeah.
So it is an interesting idea to try to give them these situations where they can take on a little more responsibility that's age appropriate. Yeah. I struggle with that because
age appropriate. Yeah,
I struggle with that because I'm like, oh, you're 4, you should be able to get on the bus. Like, just like I skip a few steps and I'm like, okay, wait, let's roll that back. What does this look like? What does getting on the bus look like for a 4-year-old? Okay, so you can give the lady the receipt, the ticket or the whatever.
Yes. Yeah, no, I definitely, and like when we go to the store and he's like, I need this, I'm like, okay, go ask that person where it is. So really sort of like pushing a little bit, especially when it's situations of stuff that they really want or they really want to do, or, it kind of motivates them a little bit more to use their voice.
Yeah. So the thing that kind of goes with this, I mean, in this timing, this world that we're in now, is the how is it that we can, if we're interested in being free range parenting, how do you do that in a time of fear? Like right now, it's all about, like you said before, people think that things are so dangerous, even though we're kind of safer than we have been in hundreds of years. But, kids are getting kidnapped all the time. Kids of color are getting basically attacked all the time. People are getting kidnapped. Things are happening. Like how do you reconcile giving being a free range parent in this time of fear?
Yeah, I think, it's really difficult. Like, honestly, you have to really calm yourself. When I do these little tasks with him at the store or wherever we are, I still am like constantly looking as to where he is, which is ridiculous. Like, he's like right there. And I think it is because of all of that, all of that social media, all that. And I think step one is just to turn that off, to literally not, I try not to watch the news. I try not to, look at my Facebook feed a lot. I try, because then it gets into your psyche. It gets into your mentality of like, the world is dangerous and it's falling apart, and turning that off as an adult, I think is really step one. And then the second thing I think is to really work with your children to be able to say to people, I'm okay. My mom is in the yard. She knows where I am. Yeah. Really sort of giving them that verbiage, like we were talking about this summer, like having Lincoln learn how to say, I'm 4. Right. I'm 4 years old.
We still got to work on that. Like,
leave me alone. I'm 4 years old.
And the lady who told me that, she said, I'm only 4. Very, very clear. I'm not 4. No, I'm only 4.
Yeah.
I can talk to you, but I'm... Yeah.
So let me ask you. So if you're not a parent, let's say, for example, you're not a parent that's ever experimented with the possibility of doing free range parenting, and you want to explore that option. What can be very subtle things that you can do to start on that path that are not like life-changing, like craziness way at the beginning, right? Because if you're not used to doing that right away, introducing that in such a very thrusted way could also affect the child.
Could kill your kid.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You're not going to throw like a kid who's never free range on the bus or on the train by themselves and like, okay, bye, go to wherever and I'll see you in an hour.
We were on vacation by the lake and she's like, oh, Matthias can swim. I was like, yes, but Lincoln can't swim. So we're going to have to go outside with them.
Yeah. No, I like to use like the metaphor of like helicopter parenting, right? Everybody knows that term, right? Yeah. Helicopter parenting is like where we are now in our history of parenting, being on top of your children constantly. But instead of being a helicopter, be a hummingbird. Ooh. And just like check in, so hummingbirds flit around, they fly around really fast and they go to flower and they like sip nectar and they're gone in a second. They go to the next flower, they sip nectar, they go to the next flower. So they're like really moving constantly. And so as a hummingbird parent, you would, drop in real quick at the park. Let's say you're letting your kid move further away from you than they have before, and you just like check in real quick and move away. Like just like check in and move away, and sort of like training yourself really to be further away from your child than you're comfortable with. And that checking in will hopefully lessen over time, and maybe at some point you'll just be able to just sit down and let them go. And then also talking with your children again. It's like you have to talk with your children about this. Like, saying to them, I need to be able to see you. You need to be. You can go as far as you want, but you have to be able to see me, or I have to be able to see you.
Right.
And working with that as well. So it's a two-way street. So that's like a little bit of free ranging, right? They're going further than just like right at the swing next to you, but they're going maybe to the play set that's a couple hundred feet away, 10 feet, 20 feet away versus just like 2-3 feet away from you.
So can I tell you the scary thing about talking to your kids, especially when they get to a certain age where because you have to do this at an age where they can accept it, and you have to do it developmentally appropriate, right? And the scary thing for me is that I had that conversation with Lincoln. Hey, if something happens to mommy, you're trying to talk to me and I'm not answering. I fell down the stairs. Something happened. Like, here's what you do. You pick up my phone. Like, we had this conversation. You were the biggest one here. This is what you do. Right.
Yeah.
And we were talking through this, and literally that afternoon we were in the backyard, and I asked him to come and help me do something inside of the garage. And then I bent down, and so I was behind something in the garage, like a toy kitchen, but I was bent down picking up some things. And so he came and he didn't see me. And so he went looking for me, and he went to our neighbor's house to see where I was. And so I was like losing my whole mind, like freaking all the way out, because I was sitting there going, hey, I just called him, where are you? And I was just picking up some little things off of the floor, not realizing that you could hear me, but you couldn't see me. And he literally it was the same exact day that we had talked about what happens when something happens to mommy. And he was like, I came to find you. This is what I need to do. I need to go and get help. And I literally almost lost my whole mind. Like I was in the street screaming. My neighbor came to help me. Like, it was, but he went to our neighbor's house to ask them if they had seen me, right? Like, because he knows that we know certain people on the block, and he skipped like 6 houses because we don't know those people, but we know the people at this blue house.
My God.
You know what I mean? He didn't just go knock on some random door, right? He went to a specific place. And so I'm just having this like stress of like when you give them agency, and then they use it, but you weren't ready for them to use it.
And I think that's the issue, is like the parents are usually the ones that are not ready, and really you yourself as a parent really need to get to that point. But that reminds me of when I say to Matias, he likes to stay in the house, and like we free range. Like, as adults, we like go downstairs, we'll go to the yard, we'll go, outside. So we're the ones that are free ranging. But I'll say to him,
he's in the house and you've gone.
He's in the house and I'm gone, right? So I'll say to him, I'm going to be outside in the back.
Yeah.
If you need me, if you don't see me there, then check the front of the house. If you don't see me there, check the attic. If you don't see me there, check the basement. Like, before you start calling 911, check all of the places where I may be. You know what I mean? Yeah. But so that's just part of it too.
Lincoln did that today. He goes, I was looking for you all. It was nap time. And he said, I was upstairs looking all over for you. I didn't know you were down here in the bathroom. I was like, first of all, can I use the bathroom? Like, just need to use the bathroom.
That's a separate conversation. Like, we can never use the bathroom.
Can I have a minute? Second of all, but I found myself, so this thing with him going to look for me happened maybe a month ago, and I have found myself now being very clear anytime I'm going to be out of his visual, and especially for him, I am going inside the house to the kitchen to get this thing. Like, or I am
Right.
going, like I have to be, and I probably should have
Really
been doing
specific.
that all
Yeah.
all along,
Yeah.
but remembering to be very, very clear about where I'm going so that if you turn around and you don't see me, you know to look for me in this place. And so again,
Absolutely.
today,
Absolutely.
as I'm sitting on the toilet, I'm like, hey, I am never going to leave you in the house by yourself. Like, never,
Right.
ever. So there's also this thing I feel with some kids, maybe firstborn kids, that is just like, okay, I have this information. When am I going to get the chance to use it? You know, like they're like, do I call now? Okay, now I can.
Can I do it now? Yeah.
Do I do it now?
Told me
Like
to
this?
do it. Yeah.
I remember wanting to be the one in charge. I actually went several months ago. I took my friend's daughters to the pediatrician because she couldn't go, but they had appointments. And the daughter might be 12. It's like an 11 and a 12-year-old. And basically, we got into the doctor's office and she walked up before I could even do anything. She goes, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, and this is my mom's friend so-and-so. She just brought us here. She just gave us a ride here. But we're here for our like physicals because we need our physicals for school and we need them before we could go."
That's awesome.
And
I know, right?
I just sat back and I was like, "Go ahead, boo. I see you. Like, you
I
needed
wish my
this
child was like
moment
that. Yeah, right.
to like
Yes.
flex your little muscles, and I see you. I really am just the Uber. I got you."
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
that's
you can
awesome.
see
That's
it. You
awesome.
can see it, and
Yeah.
they thrive on that kind of thing. So
Absolutely. And that's a key word, like thrive, right? You want your children to thrive and you really want them to feel like they're capable. But if you're never given the chance to be capable, they're not going to know that they're capable. You know, if you're
Yeah.
constantly doing everything for them, if you're constantly, you know, on top
Wiping
of them,
their butt.
helicoptering them. Yes, absolutely. They're never going to learn to do it on their own until they're like 30 and they're like,
and
oh,
then
wait.
in your basement. You're like, why aren't you
I
out?
need to move out? I know. Yeah. And I think that's like the key is like we really want our children to feel capable.
Yeah.
And being on top of them isn't helping them learn to be capable.
I feel like the thing about being a I call myself like a boarding school. It's weird that it's so much a part of my identity, like having gone to boarding school.
Absolutely.
But I don't expect my kids to be around like after junior year of college. Like, I expect you to come home maybe the first summer, but by the second summer, I expect you to get a job on campus that provides housing. Like, that just makes sense to me.
Yes.
Why isn't that the thing you're looking for? Like, so I feel bad for my kids because I'm already, not because I want them out, but again, because I want them to feel capable and able to sort of start adulting at an adult time, knowing that I'm there to support them. Maybe the opposite of what I had, which was like, because I was always gone, I didn't have a real bed at home. Like, we can get a 1-bedroom apartment because Candace is gone. It's like, no, actually, I'm only 17 and a half. I need a place to sleep on Christmas vacation. That would be nice.
Yeah. And I don't want people to feel like you're pushing your kid to be grown up, you know, like by allowing them to be independent and free range, like you don't want them to be grown up per se. You just want them to know what they're capable of, which all children are capable of falling down and picking themselves up on their own and being okay, you know, and or climbing a tree and learning that they can go higher than they thought they could, or getting stuck and trying to figure out how to get down, you know. So
that's a good point. How many times have you been at a point and your mom is like, dude, I say this constantly and I don't know where it came from. Don't start something you can't finish. Like, you got yourself up in that tree, get your behind out of that tree.
Right, absolutely, yeah. But see, that's the thing is like if you were not there to say that, they would have to do it.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like they would themselves have to say, okay, I got myself up here. Now I have to get myself down.
Yeah.
And so taking that adult voice a little bit away, I think will let them hear their own voice.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I'm so glad you came on the show to talk about it because it's kind of between the free range and the parenting thing. It was kind of this thing I feel like we're like, oh, Jessica's into this thing that we don't know about. But like, that's Jessica. She's always been out there on her own, like, leading the charge.
Is that true? I can't remember.
A little bit. So it's really cool to have you come and talk about it and talk about it in a way that's really, it's like, what most of us are trying to do, because I feel like even if you are a helicopter parent, you realize that you're being a helicopter parent. Nobody's helicoptering going, oh, but I'm so breezy.
No, yeah. Nor are they like, oh, I'm an awesome helicopter parent. I can't wait to be on top of my children more.
Right,
you know
right.
what I mean? Like, I think they realize that it's a little. I hope they realize it's a little not good. You know.
So maybe it's in the marketing of this term, but the general idea we said earlier, it's not a new idea to give your kids agency. Maybe because 100 years ago or however many years ago, people had a lot of kids. I don't have time to helicopter 15 kids or 12 kids or however many kids there are.
That would be a lot of work.
That would be a lot of work when we got shit to do. So,
and I think our identity wasn't as tied to how successful our children were. Do you see? Like, I think a long time ago, people were adults. I was not just a mom. I was and so I think our identity is becoming more and more enmeshed into what our children are doing. And it forces us to be on top of them because they have to be successful so that everyone on social media and on Facebook sees me as successful.
It's so
true.
Yeah. Oh, my son's a doctor. I'm not a doctor, but my son's a doctor.
Or even like you were talking about, like even my 3-year-old just reading.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
It's so
so
true.
You see that and you're like,
we're not reading yet.
When it's not developmentally appropriate for a 3-year-old to be reading.
Yeah.
It's
so true. Well, Jessica, thank you. As always, it's a pleasure talking to you. It always feels like going home when I talk to her. And so it's really cool to have this really... we've had...
So you're still in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
I am. I know. I've always been like, the crew that we were really good friends with in high school are all on the East Coast. And so I've always been like out a loner over here, and I see them speaking of Facebook, I see them on Facebook.
I know, the FOMO is real. It's real. They were together. They didn't invite me. Or I'm not so close. Yeah. But lately we've been getting, the whole adulting thing, we're able to get together a little bit more. So
we finally have money.
Yeah, we finally have money. That's real. That is what it is. And so I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple weeks, actually. I'm going to be there for my brother-in-law's wedding. So
you got to give me a date. What's happening?
What'd you say?
You have to give me dates. What's happening?
It's the weekend of the 16th. We're going to be there.
Oh, okay. The weekend of the 16th.
Yeah, so in a couple weeks. It's like 2 weeks away. I can't even believe it. So anyway, we're on a good roll of seeing each other every couple months now, which is really nice. I'm really loving it.
Yes. And we've committed to meeting every year somewhere. Where there's a lake.
I love it.
And a beautiful house.
It's you have to make that commitment, or else the time just goes and goes and goes.
Absolutely.
So anyway, thank you so much for joining us tonight and sharing your expertise on this really important topic.
I think it's amazing. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, so we're going to close out and move on to MomSoHard tip.
Yeah, we have the MomSoHard tip for tonight. So my God, she was amazing. And I really love the fact that she really put a very interesting perspective, something that really I didn't even know existed. Mm-hmm. So with free range parenting, I think that, those that are interested in doing something or going somewhere along the route of free range parenting, I think that they're going to get a lot of really amazing perspectives when it comes to someone who's doing it actively, and has, to what she describes, been succcul with it.
Yeah.
You seem to be a bit apprehensive about it, though. Like, is it because it's not something that you've tried? Like,
No. I'm not. I think where I struggle is that I try to make Lincoln do more than is developmentally appropriate. So I think that in order to be a good free-range parent, you have to take the time to learn a little bit about child development so that you're not expecting more of your child at the time when you're so you're meeting them where they are. Right? Mm-hmm. So, no, my 4-year-old can't take the bus downtown by himself. Right?
No.
And maybe my 4-year-old can't clean his whole bedroom by himself. Or maybe my 4-year-old can't go and purchase something by himself, but he can do these other things, right? Or my 8-year-old can go outside where he doesn't want to be by himself for a few minutes. So I think that there's definitely a reminder that we don't like parenting is not a thing that is innate, and it's not a thing that everybody, just because you have kids means all of a sudden you know about kids, and that
That's the truth.
child development is a real thing. And if you're going to raise like successful, reasonable, adjusted children, you have to know how to meet them where they are at the moment that they are. So I want to be free range because I have memories of being free range before it was called free range. You know what I mean? I have a younger sister, and I was doing a whole lot. I was skipping school to take care of my sister because my mom had to work, or we were traveling probably an hour and a half from I can't remember what it's called now, but like from one part of the Bronx, 3 trains on a bus and 3 blocks walking, like to get to school with my younger sister. Like I know what free range is, and I probably was required to do more than was developmentally appropriate for me at the time.
But look at how you turned out.
I know,
Amazing.
amazing. But that's the whole thing, is that not to rely on that. That eventually you turn out, eventually it evens out, but that you don't want to burden your kids before it's appropriate. So I'm totally on board. I'm totally aboard with the idea of giving your kids agency, because I want my kids to leave the house after, like, to be on their own after junior year of college. Like, I want them to get there.
I'm literally going to be driving down like Church Street, and I'm going to see Lincoln on the green by himself, aren't I?
No, you're not.
He's going to be sitting there on the bus stop just waiting.
No, you're not. But the next time, but maybe when you see him, he might have a full-fledged conversation with you about something that you didn't expect him to be able to talk about, right? Or be able to come up to you when we come to your house and ask you where the bathroom is. Hey, I have to use the bathroom. Where's the bathroom? I have to go potty. Where's the potty? You know, like at 4 years old, that I feel like would be a huge deal for a 4-year-old to be able to walk away from their parent and go look for the bathroom and ask another person where the bathroom is. Gotcha. So like, it's that kind of thing. Just like she said, setting up like scaffolding, right? Setting up situations for them to stretch in a safe way, and then sort of expanding that as you go. Because again, if you haven't done it before, you can't just throw your kids out to the wolves.
Yeah, because the wolves.
Because the wolves will eat them. Yeah.
Often chickens get eaten.
I know. Although she would probably say, if you don't give them some leeway, if you don't like loosen the tether, then they don't know how to
react to the wolf.
Yeah, we were talking about the tree. That was the metaphor. Like, if you get yourself up into a tree, you have to figure out how to get down if your parent is always there to get you down.
Well, unless you're a cat, and then it's like, call the fire department.
Yeah, but we're not cats.
Yeah, I know.
We're not cats.
All right, so what is your hashtag MomSoHard tip of the week? Okay,
so I'm going to be a little provocative because, like, that's what we do. Excuse me. So my hashtag MomSoHard tip of what is it called? MomSoHard tip is don't be afraid to be a bitch.
Why do you say that?
So before I came tonight, I was watching this clip from Issa Rae, who was talking about being in the industry and being a writer and that kind of thing. And if you get labeled as difficult to work with, then nobody wants to work with, and your career is over before you start, right? And then also this week, you heard about Serena Williams and the French Open's bullshit.
And them banning her from wearing...
Banning her outfit.
Her outfit, right? Because it represented the Black Panther?
Yeah, well, she said something like, oh, I feel like Wakanda, I feel like a superhero, like a Black Panther, it makes me feel like a superhero. And then, meanwhile, the whole thing, it's basically like a shiny compression suit. Let me start. It is a compression suit because she has blood clots, right? But she wouldn't be Serena Williams if she came out in a friggin' tan-colored gauze wrapped around her body. She's like, I have to wear a compression suit. It's going to be fly as shit. It's going to be black, shiny Lycra because I'm fucking Serena Williams, right?
Hello.
So that's what she did. And then because... every time we, Black people, Black women, do what we want to do, people want to come out and try and stop us, right? Just like dampen our fucking shine, whether it's medical or not, or whatever the case is, they just want to police us, right? They just want to fucking police us. And so they banned her outfit, saying that, oh, there's a time and a place for everything. We have to respect the fucking French tennis open, whatever. Nobody's watching the shit. People are only watching it because Serena is there.
Hello.
Okay, that's number one. Number two, Maria Sharapova, Anna Kournikova, every other like German name white
I'm proud
girl
that you can say all those names.
who were out there when they were fancy and their butt cheeks are showing and their cleavage is
Nobody
showing
said
and
nothing about that.
white shiny like lycra bodysuits
With camel toe all up in your face,
cheeks out, like it's ridiculous, right? But everything we do looks salacious. It always looks salacious. I can't help that this is what my lips look like. I can't help that this is what my hips look like. Like, look away. Were you jealous? Why are you mad?
I will tell you one thing, though. That tutu was everything.
So, this is the thing, right? Don't be afraid to be a bitch. Fuck you, French Open. Fuck you, whoever thinks you can tell me that I can't do what I want to do, or I can't run my life the way I want to. I can't raise my kids the way I want to. I can't do what I want to do. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to do it how I feel like doing it.
I'm going to call you free-range Candace.
Right? But that's the point. Don't be afraid to wear a fucking tutu and say fuck you to the French Open.
But not only did she wear the tutu, she won the goddamn competition in that tutu. She was amazing.
Of course she did.
You know,
of course she did, because the only reason we are here is because Serena plays this game, okay?
Gotcha.
Like, relax,
like,
people. Relax. And so the thing that's also sort of for me is, again, I was watching something and they were saying people always use the negative terms when women are doing anything. We're always like hard to work with, or a hard ass, or a bitch, or like needy, or showy, or like whatever the things is, where men doing the exact same things, like men CEO versus women CEO, they're tenacious and they're, go-getters, and, they're strong. They always use those words that are positive, and they always pit women as being asshole, like being bitches. Oh, you don't want to work for her, she's hard because she said come to work on time, or because she said I said 9:00 and it's 9:02. Where were you? Right? Like, it's not okay. And for me, learning in this space with my own small business, with my own business, being in charge and being at my, like, people are coming at me with like, I'm disappointed that you won't do this thing for me. But I said no. So I'm sorry you're disappointed.
And you should have
I'm actually not
for an answer.
I'm actually not sorry that you're disappointed. You want to do something else?
I'm disappointed that you're
right?
that you're disappointed.
You said yes, I said no. What are we going to do now?
I'm the boss.
Right? I'm the boss. That's the whole reason I'm the fucking boss, right? So don't be afraid to be a bitch because Serena Williams said so, because fucking Issa Rae said so, because Oprah said so, because Michelle Obama said so, because fuck them, right? Like, you just have to run shit the way you want to do it, how you want to do it, where you want to do it, when you want to do it, and you are in charge. So, like, don't be afraid. And that's for moms, that's for, like, business women, that's for single women, that's for young women, that's for old women. Just, like, don't be afraid to do you, because, like, screw them.
That is like awesome.
That's how I'm feeling today.
That's the best.
That's how I'm feeling.
MomSoHard tip of the week.
Thanks. Sometimes you just got to let it off your chest. Let it off your chest. So anyway, shout out to Jessica. Thank you so much for coming and laying that knowledge on us. And catch us next week. We are here every Thursday at 7:30-ish, because I'm going to do what I want. On digitalstreamradio.com. Click on Listen Live. And that's it for this week.
Yeah. I mean, I try to keep her on time, but it's
whatever.
Try is the word.
I'm going to do what I want.
She's going to do what she wants.
All right. Bye, y'all. This show is produced by Tom Ortiz at Digital Stream Radio. It's available for download on Podbean. Follow us at Facebook at Breezy Moms Podcast, or email us at breezymomspodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, don't stress, just breathe.